as a Black woman who has dated white men in the past, these are some of the things that I've faced and heard in my relationships. One of them, my first white boyfriend always made comments about my hair, especially when I changed it, or maybe it was just like getting it done. I was wearing weaves, and I remember the first time he had touched it, and he was just like, oh. I got really insecure about it, and so I would never let him touch my hair when we were being physical or just anytime. He'd be like, I don't understand why you have to wear fake hair. I was like, this isn't fake, it's human. So another time, he actually invited me to his parents' house, and I was driving from school, and he was about midway to my home, so I always would try to stop to see him. The first time that he invited me with his parents knowing, I came and we were just hanging out in the basement. I was seeing his childhood through the lens of, his parents' home. And we were just hanging out when his parents got home and we came upstairs. This was really uncomfortable because when we went upstairs, his dad took one look at me and could not look at me for the rest of the night. I had no idea that his dad was racist, but even me just trying to be like, oh, do you like this? Or trying to have conversation with him, he would flat out ignore me. This was very uncomfortable. The next day I told him hey, I think your dad might be racist. And he was like, yeah, you're right. And I was like, oh, what? Well, why would you put me in that situation? And he was like, well, I wasn't 100% sure, but I just wanted to see how he would react. So this was also extremely damaging to my security and self because I had this feeling oh, this person chose to be with me, but it was more so just testing how much they could gauge the anger that their parent would feel for them rebelling against their wants. After years of us dating, I was always being snuck into his family house, and I would be snuck out before his dad woke up at a certain time. So I would have to drive home super early in the morning before his dad found out. So we dated for 4 years, and for that first year I had met his parents, and then he kept me a secret for 3 years. And the last year before we officially broke up, his parents allowed me to come to Christmas dinner. I sat on the couch with him, and I remember laying on his shoulder, and I remember feeling his dad's eyes just burning a hole in my skull. And before Christmas, he was like, Dad, I want to bring my girlfriend to our lake house with our cousins. I want her to meet everyone. And his dad was like, you will not embarrass me like that. So I remember I had all my stuff packed, and I was laying in my bed waiting for him to give me the answer. And he calls me and he's like, I'm sorry, you can't come. And he's like, I'm pulled over on the side of the road because I don't know what to do, if I should just turn around and go home. But it's he chose to go up north and leave me. So now my other partner was another guy that I met in college. This one was more covert. I actually remember my ex, the first one I was just telling you guys about, flying to Australia. I was doing a study abroad there. And I knew this guy, the second one, from my class. And we would just text and stuff. And he was trying so hard to take on the role that my boyfriend at the time had. And I was just I just want to be friends with you. I just want to be friends with you. And it wasn't until I knew, that my first boyfriend was never going to choose. He was never going to pick between me and his family, that I finally was okay, I'm willing to give this other guy a try. Now, this other guy was a lot more covert. He actually idolized Black culture. He was obsessed with Tyler, the Creator. He loved all of the fashion and just a culture vulture. And I was going through such a stressful period because he had convinced me to move to New York with him. And I did. My dad had just bought me a Mercedes to have, and I ended up driving my car to New York. He had convinced me that because I worked in Manhattan and he worked in Brooklyn, that he should be able to drive my car. My dad also gave me $2,000 that I could have in case of emergency. And he would constantly convince me to use the money that my dad had in savings instead of the money that he made or the money that his parents would give him. So I ran out of money, and I remember one day, like, he was driving my car home from work, and he actually ended up crashing my car. Till this day, he has not paid me a single dime for the damage that he did to my car. And his parents were like, well, insurance should cover it. He also told me that, like, because my mom lived in an apartment, that we were probably just, like, low income people. And then he ended up, like, randomly coming down to my mom's apartment and being like, oh, wow, this is a lot better than I thought. He had actually said some things like, we live in a nice house, like, you live in an apartment. And he would also send me, like, very damaging texts, like, from 6 p.m. or whenever I'd lay my head down to, like, 6 a.m. in the morning. And they would say things like, I helped heal a black girl. He would also do, like, really weird abusive behaviors, and then I would, like, dissociate or detach, and then he would try to have sex with me afterwards. I remember, like, when we had to come home from New York, I lived with his family, and he didn't want to work, like, a regular job because he was working to be an artist. And I took on 2 other jobs. So I was, like, a yoga instructor / working at the front desk, and then I remember I was, like, training for a restaurant job that would work from, like, 5 p.m. till maybe 12 midnight. And I came home from my training that night, and he was convinced I was drunk, though I had nothing to drink. Like, I literally drove home, and he lived, like, 30 minutes from the job. And he, like, screamed at me and, like, just was like, you are drunk, I know you're drunk, like, yelling at me. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm literally sober. I just worked. Like, I'm tired. And when I get tired, my eyes do get really small. I do look a little high, but I promise you guys, like, I was sober. And after I, like, literally was like, bro, like, I'm so over this, like, I'm going to leave. And he, like, begged me to stay. So I came back inside, and yeah, he forced himself on me, and I was like, I don't want to have sex. And he, like, did not care. So I just laid there, and he got so upset with me. He was, I can't even sleep next to you, and, like, left me in the room to just sit in my nakedness. There's so much more, and if you guys want me to do a part 2, I can. I just noticed that this is getting a little long, but yes, there is a lot that I've endured as a black woman dating white men, and I just don't know if I will ever do it again. Unfortunately, the circumstances would have to be very different.